In some recent videos, I have alluded to the fact that I have been feeling quite down lately, almost depressed. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you what is happening in my life that is making me feel so low. But first of all, I want to apologize if the sound is a bit echoey. It seems like just yesterday, I filmed a video of us moving into this gorgeous apartment. And today I'm sitting in a almost completely empty place. So again, I'm sorry if it's a bit echoey and also if the lighting isn't perfect. 2 days ago, a crew of movers came, packed up all of our stuff and put it in crates to ship to the next place. So we are leaving Paris, actually in 2 days, but that is not the part that is making me sad. Now, don't get me wrong. Paris is an amazingly beautiful city, and we've had a lot of fun in the 2 years we have lived here. But 2 years is about as long as I want to live in any big city. And when we first moved here, we did know that our time here would be limited to 2 years. Now, for those of you who don't know, my husband is in the American Navy, so we move quite frequently. In the 12 years we've been together, we have moved 7 times. We met in Monterey, California. From there we moved to Virginia. From Virginia we moved to Newport, Rhode Island. From there we moved to Hawaii. From Hawaii we moved to Paris for the first time. So this is actually our second time living here in Paris. From Paris we moved to Naples, Italy, and then back to Paris. So this is our 8th move in 12 years. And sometimes it can be quite exhausting having to start all over again. Before YouTube, every time we moved, I had to figure out what to do with myself. I'm a personal trainer. I have been a personal trainer for about 27 years, but it takes quite some time to establish a clientele base. So it felt like every time I was finally established, we had to move again. Now with YouTube now, it's a lot easier. I can work just about anywhere as long as there's internet. But it's also making new friends every time, and even things like finding a new hairdresser. And trust me, I had some bad haircuts in those 12 years, and finding a new doctor and so on. So it can be quite exhausting, but it has also been a ton of fun. My husband and I get to see the world together. We get to live in places we would normally never live, and having lived back here in Europe has allowed us to travel quite a bit and visit countries I have always wanted to visit. So while at times exhausting, my husband and I have had quite a bit of fun so far with this lifestyle, and normally we really look forward to moving to the next place and exploring it together. However, this time, and that's the part that has made me feel depressed over the last few months. This time my husband and I are moving to 2 different continents. My husband is going to be stationed in Dakar, Africa, and for several reasons I won't be able to join him. One big reason is that I developed not one, but in hindsight, 2 vaccine injuries from the COVID vaccine. And I know the COVID vaccine is very controversial, and before you start yelling at me in the comments for getting it, when we moved from Naples, Italy, to Paris 2 years ago, we had to get vaccinated or else we weren't allowed to move. So I developed 2 different heart conditions from the COVID vaccine, which thank God weren't permanent, but nonetheless scary. Now, we actually found out that my husband's next post is going to be Africa shortly after we moved here. And of course, right away, we started imagining our life there and started planning for it. Then I got my second COVID vaccine injury and things drastically changed. for me to move to Africa, I would need a battery of vaccines, including hepatitis A, polio, cholera, yellow fever, and just to name a few. My husband, being in the military, already has all those vaccines. I don't. Now, after my COVID vaccine injury, I saw a specialist who told me that any vaccine can cause vaccine injuries. He did tell me that mRNA vaccines are more likely to cause them because they cause more inflammation. But again, any vaccine, yellow fever, typhus, any of those could possibly cause vaccine injuries. So after learning that, my husband and I made the difficult decision that I would not join him and he would go to Africa by himself. Now, like I said, we have known about this for almost 2 years. But for almost 2 years, I just didn't want to think about it. I just pushed it out of my mind. And every time my husband wanted to talk to me about it, I said, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. And the poor guy, he just told me last night that he had really felt alone for this last year because he couldn't talk to me about this. Now, I'm normally not somebody who pushes things out of the way or procrastinates. Usually I'm somebody who attacks things head on. But I just couldn't allow myself to think about being separate from my husband for 2 years. So I just kept pushing it away. Sorry, I had to get a tissue. This is not a video I wanted to film because I was afraid that I was going to get emotional. But like I said, for the last 2 years, I've just been pushing it away. But for the last few weeks, as our move was getting closer and closer, it became more and more real. We started packing up some things, and like I said, the movers came 2 days ago to pick up all of our stuff. 1/3 went to Africa, the rest went to where I'm going to live, which is going to be San Diego, California. Now, the reason I'm moving to San Diego is because we have a condo there and I can live there rent-free. I have never lived in San Diego. My husband bought the condo before we were together. I'm sure it is a lovely city and I'm sure I will be fine. But again, the thought of moving there without my husband is really depressing me. I forgot where I was. You know, I am a very independent person. I moved to the United States by myself at age 22. I didn't know anybody. I didn't speak the language. I'm a very independent person and I'm really a loner. I love to be by myself. But I always say that being with my husband is even better than being by myself. My husband, as cheesy as it sounds, is my best friend. And that's quite important with the lifestyle we live because we move so often and we don't have the luxury to live near friends or family. So it is quite important that we are each other's best friend. So while I am a very independent person and I love to be by myself, the thought of moving to San Diego or anywhere in the world without my best friend, again, is really depressing me. Thank God I have Sam. I don't know what I would do without Sam. And if you live in San Diego and you want a new friend, don't hesitate to reach out. Now, we do have some things coming up to look forward to. So today is Thursday. We are leaving here on Saturday morning. We are flying to San Diego and we're going to spend 6 days in San Diego. So, like I said, I've never lived in San Diego. My husband was stationed there. He can show me around. We can take a look at the condo and see what needs to be done because we were renting it out the whole time. After that, we are driving to Monterey, California, where we actually met. I lived in Monterey for over 20 years before I met my husband. So I have a lot of friends in Monterey and I'm really looking forward to visiting with them. And then from Monterey, we are driving to Oregon and we'll spend some time there exploring Oregon. Then to Seattle, spend a few days there. And then from Seattle, we are going to fly to Ohio. We were going to drive the whole way, but it just was a bit much. And my husband has to be in Ohio in January, beginning of January. Now, when you're watching this video, it is probably going to be January. I wanted to stretch out my videos a bit so that I don't leave you hanging without videos for so long. So anyways, my husband has to be in Ohio in January for schooling before he goes to Africa. He has to take some classes. So we will be in Ohio, I believe, for 2.5 months. After that, he has to go to Virginia for some more schooling, and Sam and I will join him there for another 2.5 months. And then Africa is happening in June. So we do have until June to just be with each other and explore. And we have 1 suitcase each packed, which we will be living out for the next, 7 months. But it will be fun. Now, luckily, we live in a time where we can see each other, even if just virtually, every day. So when my husband and I first got married, he was on a ship, and we were back then living in Hawaii. We lived in Hawaii for 3 years, and in those 3 years, I saw my husband altogether maybe 1 year. The ship was constantly underway or deployed. Underway is when it's shorter, 3 months or so, and then deployment is 5, 6 months or even a year. The longest deployment my husband was on back then was 6 months. And in those 6 months, we could only communicate, for the most part, via email. And my husband's emails would come in late and out of order, so it was quite confusing. And only when he was visiting a port, which happened, I think, 3 times in those 6 months, were we able to do FaceTime. So we are kind of used to being apart for a little while. But after Hawaii, my husband changed careers within the Navy, so he is no longer on a ship. So for the last 9 years, we have spent a lot of time with each other. And we always say, and we noticed that during the pandemic, we do much better when we spend a lot of time together. Some couples don't. But for us, the more time we spend with each other, the better we are. So it's going to be challenging, but again, luckily we live in a time where we can see each other, at least virtually, and then hopefully, I don't know realistically how often it is going to happen. For my husband to fly to San Diego would be about 36 hours with the time difference. So that is not feasible to do very often. But most likely my husband will have to go to Washington, D.C. quite a bit for work. So Sam and I can fly there and meet him. So hopefully at least every 3 months or so, we can see each other in person. And the last 2 years here went by really fast. But then, of course, we all know the 2 years of the pandemic were really long. Hopefully these 2 years will be as fast or go by as fast as the last 2 years. And I'm trying to think what else. I don't know what else I wanted to say. But yeah, this has kept my mood quite low lately. Like I said, I have known for 2 years, but I have pushed it away. And now sitting in this empty apartment, I have to deal with it. I know it's coming up, and I know I will be fine. But I'm also sad at the same time. So again, I hope I didn't depress you with this video. And any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always love to hear from you. And again, if you live in San Diego and you want a new friend, and don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to meet you. So thank you so much for being here. Again, I apologize about the sound and the lighting. I hope it was all okay. Thank you for being here. The next time I talk to you, I will probably be in a hotel room in Ohio somewhere. I might do some filming on our road trip. I don't know yet. Sometimes it sounds like such a fun idea to do, but then it also takes away from just being in the moment. So I'll see how it goes. But if not, then the next time I see you, I will be sitting in a hotel room somewhere in Dayton, Ohio. And I hope that, again, this video will come out in January probably. I hope that you had wonderful holidays and an amazing start to your new year, 2024. And I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.